I just had my morning meditation and I wanted to share a quick insight with you, which I believe is very, very important in this process. The ego itself has no independent existence. The ego is just as temporary as all phenomena, all physical experience that's constantly coming and going, right? If you look into your experience directly, it is so obvious that you cannot hold on to anything. You cannot hold on to any experience, no matter how close it may be to you, no matter how much ownership you may have of it, no matter how long it is in your experience, still it is temporary. Even the body itself, your most intimate experience, other than the mind, it is always changing. It is always turning into something else, and eventually will pass. The ego, I'm here to tell you, is just as temporary and changeful as everything that you perceive. It has no independent existence. The ego, in order to maintain its hold over you, needs the constant stream of thought. In order to veil your true nature, which is already here, which is what you already are, but in order to paint the illusion that you are not that, in order to keep the illusion going that you are this and that, whatever the ego is projecting, right? It needs to keep this constant stream of thought going. And its existence quite literally relies on thought. It relies on thought being constant and constantly just going. So in this moment, you find yourself not doing anything, right? Let's just say it's a completely free afternoon and you have nothing to do. You're just sitting on your couch. Even when activity is completely stopped on the outside and there's nothing to do just for this moment, the ego, the mind, it cannot rest. It still must continue to keep your attention on thought after thought after thought after thought. And through that, it paints this linear lifeline. It paints the illusion that I am this body. I am this person evolving through this timeline called life. And it does this by keeping the thought stream going. And notice, when you're thinking, you're always thinking about the past, even if it was just 5 minutes before. Thought can only be of past and projection of the future. Thought can never be about the now. The moment you think about the now, it is already past, and you are thinking about past. You cannot think about the now, you can only be the now. But ego, in order to keep this illusion of linearity, in order to keep this illusion of I am this body, I am Sunny, I am John, I am Amy, it needs to keep the past and future going. And through all of these things like thinking about your problems, through all of these things like thinking about your goals constantly, through all of these things that thinking about the day-to-day tasks, thinking about what this person did to you, thinking about why, this sucks, why that's not perfect yet, or when is it gonna be perfect, by just constantly thinking this, it paints this identity and all these beliefs form, and now all these emotions, right? It keeps your attention hooked. And it feeds it with constant thought activity. And until we keep giving our attention to the ego will continue to create problems. Then it will create suffering. And then it will create another mental layer of constantly being in a state of chasing solutions, chasing happiness. Whereas these are all the mind's layers, and these are the clouds over your natural state, over your natural state of peace, happiness, and fulfillment. And in order for you to experience this peace, happiness, and fulfillment, you do not need to chase. You do not need to go somewhere and experience and attain something. You actually just need to diminish these clouds. How? Simply by letting go of constant engagement with thought activity. Learning to keep your attention here, in the now, and being as you are. It is so simple. Do not touch thought. By touching thought, you are already in projection. You are already in identity. And when you are in projection, when you are in thought, thought will create problem, it will create suffering, and then it will seek a solution to that suffering. And when we live in this identity, our entire life is just a chase for the solution to our problems, a chase for an external experience or an achievement or an attainment, which seeks to give us happiness. And because we think that happiness is a product of something we do or achieve or get outside, but this is not true. And so don't seek just only external experiences. Seek instead what you are trying to get from the external experiences, which is happiness. And happiness is not something that can be achieved. It is a quality of what you already are. You must only diminish these clouds. How? By letting go of thinking. Not as an ultimatum, not as I will never think again, but rather actually just learning to keep your attention here. Thinking is okay, but when thought is controlling you, when thought is all you know, that is what is maintaining all the suffering in your life. And that is what is actually creating all the dysfunction. So many times when we talk like this, some people come up with fears. It's like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to achieve my goals again. Or does that mean I'm just going to sit on the couch and do nothing? Or all these sorts of fears and things that arise. And think and just look at it right there. Those are just other thoughts coming up, keeping you from your natural happiness. Whereas in truth, when you let this thought activity go, goals still happen, activity still happens, but no longer is thought coming in and taking responsibility for those actions. No longer is thought coming in and taking ownership that I did this and I did that. Rather, it is seen to be just a spontaneous occurrence, an unfoldment of your natural, true expression of this mind and body. But more on that in a different video. For the purpose of this video, I want to let you know that you do not have to transcend anything, right? It is the mind that creates the problem, it creates the suffering, and then it seeks to transcend. But you do not have to transcend anything. You have only to realize that you are already transcendent of everything. Don't fight these mental battles. When you fight these mental battles, you are actually caught up at the level of mind. And this is the one that seeks to transcend this mental battle. I'm giving you a much easier way out. Realize that you are already transcendent of the mental battle and the one who seeks to transcend it. How? By simply becoming quiet. By letting go of engaging with thoughts constantly. Being here now. Silent. Not just silent here, but also here. And if you're afraid, see how the fear is also just another image on the screen of your awareness that does not need to be transcended, only disengaged from. And simply by you disengaging, by keeping your attention and being here as you are, it is transcended. Rather than it transcending it, it is realized that you are already free of it. Because the awareness that you are is not affected by or obstructed by any experience, any thought, any feeling. You have only to realize this. And this realization can only happen once you yourself are becoming silent. Other than that, it will always remain something that you just think about. You cannot think about this. You can only know it. And knowing is prior to the level of thought. The awareness which you are can only be known. You can only be it. You cannot think of it. You cannot become it. You cannot attain it. And you can only recognize that you are it by letting go and not touching thought. Being as you are. The silence will take care of you. The silence will open you up to this. So give yourself into it. I had a conversation recently with a client, and I was talking to her about how, she's been doing great. And I said, the reason you've been doing great, I was like, notice how it's not because you've been trying so hard or putting in so much effort, but rather you've just been giving yourself into this process. You've been giving your ego up to this process, just being willing to follow what I share or what the teaching shares. And she went, yeah, that's so true. Because what this process requires is not hard work and effort that we use to achieve something in the world. It is actually a whole different process. It requires an undoing of effort. Don't touch effort. When you touch effort, you're in thought. Simply give yourself into the words and what they're pointing to. Give yourself into the teaching. Give your ego up to the teaching. And you will see how this silence, this teaching, it takes care of you itself. So put this into practice. Don't just let this be another video that you watch and then don't implement it. Or maybe you feel good because of what you're hearing, and then you just let it go. Go back to your old ways of thought. You, my friend, are already transcendent of thought. You have only to realize that. If you want to take a deeper dive into this, watch my free masterclass below. It's called the Ego to Presence Masterclass. It will teach you how to go about this entire process. The greatest value you will receive in 1 hour. Okay, it's completely free. Link is down there below. If you want to work with me personally, my program details are also in the description box. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in the next video.